If it's 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, you know what that means. It's Talking SEC Week 12 edition as we wind down the regular season here in the Southeastern Conference. Still got plenty to talk about, so let's go. Guys, welcome into the Voice of College Football Talking SEC. This is Kenneth from the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network. Playing injured tonight. Got a little bit of a cold here, so pardon the voice here. But as always, we're going to muscle through the show here tonight. I got you for the next 118 minutes, and we're going to be touching on some of the action from earlier today, as well as a look ahead to rivalry weekend next weekend, Thanksgiving weekend. And first and foremost, let us hear from the voice of college football, as well as my team at the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network. Wish you and yours a happy Thanksgiving holiday weekend. So let's do a quick rundown on the action here. Bear with me just a moment here, because a couple of these games we're not going to touch on too much, just considering the opponent. Kentucky gets their 8th win over New Mexico State, 56-16. Will Levis, 21 for 31, 419 yards, 4 touchdowns. Chris Rodriguez, 16 carries, 119 yards, rushing touchdown, as well as Wan'Dale Robinson, huge impact transfer from Nebraska, 8 receptions, 181 yards in that ball game. So hats off to Mark Stoops, getting that 8th win, setting up a huge game next weekend versus rival Louisville. Mississippi State 55, Tennessee State 10. Will Rogers 28, 34, 391, 5 passing touchdowns in that ball game. Texas A&M 52-3, Prairie View A&M. Zach Calzada, 10 for 14, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns. Georgia, 56-7, Charleston Southern. Stetson Bennett, 8 for 14, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, that's pretty much the only other time I'm going to mention those is at the top of the next hour. And once again, on the final whip around here at the end of the show. Do have a game just kicking off, LSU versus Louisiana Monroe. That game is just getting underway. Alabama 42, Arkansas 35. Bryce Young, the first quarterback in the history of the University of Alabama to throw for more than 500 yards. 31 for 40, 559 yards, 5 passing touchdowns in that ball game. And they needed every last one of them, as the defense really did not perform that well in the ball game. Brian Robertson, 27 carries, 122 yards. Guys, if you want to give co-transfer player of the year in the SEC, Wan'Dale Robinson for Kentucky and Jamison Williams for Alabama, you're splitting hairs if you try to pick one over the other. Williams, 8 receptions, 190 yards, 3 touchdowns receiving. You want to talk about improving your draft stock by taking advantage of the transfer portal? This young man definitely did so. Tennessee 35, South Alabama 7. That game is about to go to half. Nothing interesting in that ball game. Ole Miss 24, Vanderbilt 6, as that game gets ready to go to the half. And right now, the only game of interest as far as games still in action, South Carolina 14, Auburn 17. South Carolina has the ball inside of the red zone, 3rd and goal from about the 8-yard line, it looks like. Nice little play action pass, touchdown, South Carolina. Guys, new score in the ball game. South Carolina 20, Auburn 17, extra point pending in that contest. Hey, Jet, how's it going, my friend? You know what? Let's pop that up here on the screen. Okay, so Jet, let's pick up where we left off last week, and always glad to have you on. Great Florida fan here, and I reached out to a couple of people down in Gainesville. Reached out to a couple of people in Gainesville this week, and the thought was, if Dan Mullen lost either one of these two games at the end of the year, that an announcement would be made. I'm not expecting right now anything before the Florida State game, but would not be shocked. Would not be shocked. The word that I kept hearing all week was embarrassed. Florida fans embarrassed. The administration embarrassed. Former players embarrassed. So, tough week. And it is not going to get any easier for Dan Mullen. Waiting to see if I get any notes on the press conference, but absolutely. Yeah, wait and see mode. Jeff, give me a second here. Let me pull up the box score for this game here, because I really want to dive into that. Okay, so Florida 17 first downs, Missouri 17, 5 for 18 on third downs for Florida, 4 for 16. 9 penalties for 80 yards. That's not good. I mean, that's not good. Wow. Jet, I'm gonna put that on the screen because I got to be honest. That's not anything I've heard just yet. That would be a shock to me. I would try to chase that down before next week's show to see if there's any traction on that. But that would be surprising. Um, I will say, outside of the SEC footprint, I'm hearing some coaches' names associated with. And guys, sorry, um, I got this cough drop. Just trying to keep the voice somewhat going here tonight. Oh wow, okay. I remember seeing that. So just to touch on some of the coaching hot news here. I'm hearing Dave Aranda, head coach at Baylor, former defensive coordinator at LSU. His name is being highly connected with the USC job. And I think that would be a home run hire. Miami, I expect them to move on Manny Diaz as early as next Sunday. So right after the season's over, I expect Manny Diaz to be relieved of his duties at Miami. Um, as far as LSU, I am not hearing anything along the lines of Lincoln Riley leaving Oklahoma to go to LSU. I have not heard from one source that that is likely to happen. No, I'm actually flipping over now. Like I said, not a whole lot of news in the. Oh yeah, yeah, Jed, I'm seeing it now. Talked about this on our podcast this week. That matchup, told people going into Utah is not an easy thing to do. And right now, Utah is absolutely killing the Pac 12 hopes of getting a team into the college football playoffs. And the happiest team right now watching this is Cincinnati. Yeah. But back to the SEC. Hey, Cody, welcome in. Woo, interesting. Interesting. So, Cody, let's talk about your Vols here since I got you in here. Like I said, not going to take a whole lot of stock in what is going on against South Alabama, but Cody, what do you think your record would be had Josh Heupel started Heaton Hooker from the start instead of trying to play Joe Milton? That, and pardon me, guys. Uh, that is something that I think will plague Josh Heupel all off season, because I think this team could have been in line for even a better year had Heaton Hooker been the starting quarterback instead of Joe Milton. and I was on record before the season started saying that um, Heaton Hooker gave Tennessee the best chance of winning this year. Proven to be right. Interesting to see, Cody. Who's going to be your starting quarterback next year? That's going to be something big there. Good point. So, who is your starting quarterback for next year? That's going to be a big question. And can Josh Heupel actually recruit? We saw while he was at UCF, as Scott Frost players graduated out, his record got worse and worse each year. So something to keep in mind there, up there at Rocky Top. If I would tell you, if I am a Tennessee fan, the last thing I want to see is Joe Milton on the field. I mean, that is not a good look. Jet, you're absolutely right. I think if they play next weekend, Tennessee wins by double digits. I think Tennessee would win by double digits. Uh here's something else, Cody, that got worse. The record got worse. Josh Heupel's record got worse. Matter of fact, give me a second. Let me pull that up here. Let's see. Josh Heupel, head coaching record. Okay, so his first year, 2018, Scott Frost's players, 12-1. Next year, 10-3. Next year, 6-4. So, the way I'm gonna judge a coach is not by how many yards he puts up or how many points he puts up. It's win-loss record, and if your win-loss record gets worse and worse as your freshmen become sophomores and become juniors, that's a problem. Oh my goodness. Not Eli. Not the drink. Cody, that's an excellent point. Do you think Tim Bates might want to spin that into a? I don't think Tim Bates is going to get a head coaching position, but does he look to get another job somewhere else? Oh, big time catch there by Auburn. Convert 4th and 15, first down, Auburn inside the red zone. Guys, we got about right at a minute left to go in the third quarter. Definitely the game of the night in the SEC right now. Beautiful pass there by TJ Finley. You got to wonder if Tank Bixby is playing um, his last couple of games in an Auburn uniform. Uh, there's a lot of smoke that he may look to transfer. He is not happy with this coaching staff. Now, I haven't heard the issue. I mean, I shouldn't say issue. I haven't heard the fact that he's building a new house there, but um, that could be something. That could be nothing. But that is something to keep an eye on. Okay, guys, into the third quarter. Auburn 17, South Carolina 21. Auburn is in the red zone when we come back to start the fourth quarter. But I would say, Cody, great job by Heupel this year. Um, I think Hendon Hooker bailed him out because if Milton doesn't go down hurt, I don't think he ever pulls Joe Milton. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. Whew. Okay. Taking a look at the stats for this Auburn South Carolina game while we are in commercial break, getting ready for the fourth quarter to start. TJ Finley, 15 for 26, 160 yards, one touchdown. Tank Bixby, 19 carries, 140 yards, and a touchdown. And Cody, that's what I tell people about guys hitting deep shots in practice. Man, if you can't hit a deep shot in practice, um, you probably shouldn't be on scholarship. So, but I did hear that same thing coming out. But that was the same thing said about him while he was at Michigan. Looks really good in a pair of shorts. When the lights come on, not a primetime player. So the hope should be Hooker comes back. I think Hooker declares for the NFL draft. Um, it's probably a second round pick. Uh, I hope to know more for next week's show. So hopefully you'll come back next week, tune into the show. But I think Hooker declares for the NFL draft because I think this kid could be a second round pick based on the quarterbacks that's coming out. Quick update on the Ole Miss Vandy game. Vanderbilt 24. I'm sorry, Ole Miss 24, Vandy 9. Matt Corral playing his last home game as the quarterback of the Ole Miss Rebels. 19 for 25, 203, and two touchdowns in the first half so far. So he's looking to go out with a bang in his last home game. Pardon me, guys. Just all right. Um, Cody, every quarterback is a product of the system that they play in, whether it's at the high school level, the college level, or the NFL level. Every quarterback is a product of the system that they play in and the talent that's around them, whether it's at the running back spot, whether it's at the wide receiver or tight end spot, and definitely the O line. So, what scouts want to see on tape, can you make NFL type throws, tight windows? Because there's a difference between being college open and NFL open. And every young quarterback coming out of college struggles with it. I don't care if it's Patrick Mahomes. I don't care if it's um, Deshaun Watson. I don't care if it's Mac Jones. I don't care if it's Trevor Lawrence. Every quarterback coming from from college to the NFL struggles with knowing what is college open and NFL open. If you got a half a step, oh my goodness, guys, Auburn just missed a chip shot field goal. Remember, their kicker, um, Anders Carson, is out for this ball game, and the kicker just absolutely shanked a gimme field goal. That may come back to bite them later on in this ball game. And it was just a complete shank there. I mean, had no chance of going in. But back to that point, a half a step in the NFL is wide open. And you can't see the wide receiver open at that level. So what NFL scouts are going to want to see is, can he make tight coverage throws? And Cody, fantastic point there. They're not going to hold that against him. They're looking at, would an NFL wide receiver make that catch? So they're looking at the completion percentage, but they're going to go back and chart every throw. And was the incompletion based on the defensive player making a great play, the wide receiver dropping the ball, or was it a bad throw by the quarterback? And they chart each and every throw that way. I think Hooker has been outstanding this year. Matter of fact, if I can pull up his numbers here on the season, let's talk about it. Okay, so Hendon Hooker on the year. Okay, so he's completing about 69% of his passes. That's really good. 9.6 yards per attempt. Now, I'll tell you, based on talking to NFL scouts, and if you listen to our podcast over at the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network, you'll hear me talk about, if your yards per attempt is 10 or better, that's NFL caliber coming from college. His is 9.6. That is a really good number. 22 touchdowns to 3 INTs. Yeah. You want to see in college at least 8-1. He's pretty close to 8-1. I mean, you're basically two touchdowns away from being 8-1. So that 8-1 touchdown to INT ratio, very good. I can tell you, based on some early work that I'm starting to do, I would take Hendon Hooker over JT Daniels right now. I would do that in a heartbeat. Um, I'll say this, Cody, and I'll pop your other statement up here. Um, if you're a quarterback like Hooker, you don't want to have the scouts pick you apart too much coming back an additional year. You want them to see all of the potential without all of the flaws. And if you're able to do that, that's going to improve your draft stock because if he comes back next year, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea if he does come back. If he comes back and struggles like the kid from North Carolina, I'm blanking on the name here, but give me just a second. Okay, I got my notes here, so bear with me. Okay, let's see. North Carolina here. Sam Howell, guys, like I said, doing a show and not feeling your 100% best there. Sam Howell came back this year, um, and absolutely hurt his draft stock. So if I'm Hooker, get the evaluation, which he's going to be able to get, and basically it's going to be a write up from NFL GM saying, hey, we project you as a first round pick, a second or third round pick, or a late round pick. And in some cases, I've seen those reports come back and tell guys, hey, look, you're not going to be drafted at all. So get the evaluation and make the best decision. I tell every young player that's thinking about going into the NFL draft to do exactly that. So we'll see those decisions being made here over the next couple of weeks. Wow. Hey, Jet, you talked about it. That game is at the half, 28-0. And oh boy, we are going to have a shakeup in the college football playoff poll ranking next Tuesday night for sure. Um, there is going to be some heartbreak hotel going on. Hey guys, right before the timeout, South Carolina breaks off a huge run there. They're across midfield. Um, I will tell you, if they manage to put another touchdown on the board, um, we could be singing "Sweet Caroline" in South Carolina as the Auburn Tigers um, will go to 6-5 with Alabama coming into town next week. But getting back to your Gators, um, Emory Jones, 20 for 32, 261. Interesting note. You know who didn't play in this ball game? Anthony Richardson. That's something to keep your eye on. That is something to keep your eye on. because we've talked about it all season long here, and especially towards the later part of the year, that okay, and I'll get right back to that. Cody, 100%. If you would have told any Tennessee fan that they could make a bowl game this year, given all the players that transferred out, I think any Tennessee fan would have done backflips over the moon um, to make a bowl game. Uh, Mullen said he was banged up all week in practice. Jet, take this for whatever it's worth. And I know a couple of people that cover the Gators. I did not hear that one time this week from them. I did not hear AR was banged up in practice. Now, not saying it's not true, just said there's nothing that I heard about that. Okay, big stop there by Auburn on third down. Looks like they're gonna, looks like they're gonna force a punt here on 4th and 13 by South Carolina. Wasn't able to keep that punt out of the end zone. So Auburn will have the ball on their own 20. Guys, we got about 11 minutes left to go in this fourth quarter here. Okay, so since we're in the SEC and we're talking SEC, and guys, thank you once again for joining us this week. It is always an honor and privilege to have you tuning in live, or if you're going to watch the replay later. Shane Beamer, head coach of South Carolina. You know his father, legendary head coach Frank Beamer. Um, that job is now open with Justin Fuentes being fired. There is a lot of rumors that Shane Beamer uh, would go back to where his father coached and become the next head coach. Got to say, that is not what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Dave Clawson, the head coach of Wake Forest, to take that job. Um, that's just what I'm hearing. Cody, I will tell you that is the speculation. That is the speculation. And Jet, please chime in on that because you're as plugged in as anybody I know that's a fan of that team. Uh, do you think that Anthony Richardson um, transfers out? Because I think one of those quarterbacks will transfer, whether it's Emory or Anthony. Not sure which one, but that's what I'm expecting. All right, so Auburn has the ball uh, almost to midfield, 1st and 10. Clock is running. Yeah, I did see that. And speaking of Lane Kiffin, a lot of rumors floating around that he will be the he will be the top choice or one of the top choices for the University of Miami. Oh wow. Okay, let me put hey Jet, I'm gonna put both of those up here. Give me just a moment. Let me see if there's something on that. Well, Jet, remember, he said last week he is a Gator for now. All right. Not able to pull that up yet, but okay. Just seeing that. Okay, starting to get some news, guys. Dan Mullen says he's extremely disappointed they didn't find a way to close out another close game. Wow. Hey, Jet, another name that I'm hearing that could transfer to Ole Miss if Lane stays there, Oklahoma quarterback Spencer Rattler. So it's going to be a very interesting few weeks here, um, seeing how all of that shakes out. Okay, hey Jet, here's another comment that I just got. So Dan Mullen and AD Strickland have been meeting all week on potential coaching changes for the program. People are trying to connect the dots that Dan Mullen is going to be back. Um, guys, I'll be fully transparent here because this is not from a source, um, but just what I was told. If Dan Mullen lost both Missouri and Florida State, Scott Strickland has been told either fire Dan Mullen or you're going to be fired. Take that for what it's worth. Yeah, yeah, most certainly, Jeff, because you can't have a local kid who plays for the hometown team leave the program like that. Guys, we're in critical situation here with this Auburn uh, South Carolina game. 8 minutes left to go. South Carolina's got the ball back, and the way that this Auburn offense has struggled since the first quarter, if they're able to put up any kind of drives that leads to points, um, devastating loss. Did he come down with that catch? Oh wow. That might be catch of the night. South Carolina wide receiver, and I can't see his number because he's slow to get up, but just made the catch of the night. Oh yeah, landed right on the back of his head. Leggett, number 17. Oh my God, what a catch! Yeah, he got the wind knocked out of him there. Um, and Jet, you've been talking about that heat that South Strickland is under. Um, yeah, that's going to be something to watch there. Big time catch. South Carolina has the ball up around midfield. Guys, we got about 7.5. We got 7 minutes left to go in this ball game. Clock is running. Deep shot overthrew the wide receiver. Had the home run. Just missed him. Just missed it. Just quick update, guys. LSU still up 7-0. That game just going into the second quarter. Um, Ole Miss is still up 24-9 halfway through the third. Tennessee 42, South Alabama 7. Just getting underway in the third quarter. Okay, this is huge. South Carolina, third down and let's call it 4. About 6. This will be right around 6 minutes when they snap this ball. Excellent job by Shane Beamer running that clock down before every snap. This is how you put up a 8-minute drive right here. Take off, run, get the first down. Gonna be about a half a yard short. You got to punt. I know you want to go for it, Beamer. You got to punt here. Pardon me, guys. Sorry, guys. I am fighting a huge head cold right now. So, 4th and 1. South Carolina is looking like they're lining up to go for it. No, they're bluffing it. Yeah, you got to punt. Got to punt. Force Auburn to go the length of the field. Now, only thing I disagree with Shane Beamer on that, I would have not taken the timeout. I would have taken the delay of game and given my punter 5 more yards to boot that thing inside of the 10-yard line. Okay, just okay. Sorry. Um, just getting a couple of updates there, but nothing, nothing too serious there. Hey guys, I know it's a slow night as far as major games in the SEC, so I'm gonna go off script just a little bit here and give you some games that are involving the college football playoffs here. Utah 28, Oregon 7, halfway through the third quarter. Oklahoma State 13, Texas Tech 0, halftime. Why is that important? Because there's a lot of crazy ideas that Alabama could lose in the SEC championship game and still get in the college football playoffs. Right now, this Oregon result is actually helping that. But if the SEC truly wants to get two teams in the college football playoffs, they need Alabama to win next week against Auburn and 2 weeks from now, beating Georgia in the Georgia Dome for the SEC championship. All right. Hey, Da Vinci, always good to have you in, my friend. Always some great insight there on the Gators as well. So, uh, guys, keep posting those in the chat, and we'll be popping some of those on the screen here for sure. Okay, so South Carolina gets off a really good punt here. That ball is going to check up right at the 8-yard line. Fantastic punt. Auburn's got to drive the length of the field, 5 minutes, 30 seconds, ball game. Field goals does Auburn no good here. It is a touchdown or get ready for Alabama with another loss on your resume. Okay, so Auburn, 1st and 10 on their 7-yard line. Play action pass. Nice, nice stick route there. Auburn's already out to the 35-yard line with a huge, huge pass there. Auburn, 1st and 10 at their own 30, let's call it the 36. But that clock is running. Under 5 minutes to go. Hey, Da Vinci, I'm going to pop that comment up there. I am not hearing Dan Mullen's name associated with that job. From what I'm hearing, Dave Clawson, head coach of Wake Forest, is the leading candidate for that job. Ooh, almost a game-ending INT there, but Auburn 3rd and 8, 4 minutes left to go in this ball game. Just off the fingertips for South Carolina interception there. All right, guys. Third. Oh, nice tackle. Nice form tackle. Okay. Decision time for Brian Hartson. You have 3 timeouts. Okay. Going to punt. South Carolina's going to get the ball back here with about 3.5 minutes left to go on the clock. Not a good punt. That ball goes out of bounds at the 25-yard line. 3:31 on the clock. South Carolina. Shane Beamer. A win to get you to a bowl game. This is going to be huge the last couple of minutes. Hey, Jet, I'm going to pop that up there because your question is a very good one here. Oh, nice run there by Harris for South Carolina, picking up 9 yards right off the bat. Hey, Da Vinci, can I let you in on a little secret? And you as well. I'm not hearing Dan Mullen's name associated with Virginia Tech, but I'm hearing his name associated with the Washington job for that very same reason that you mentioned. Not a lot of pressure up there, and 8-4, they could live with. Okay, so first down, South Carolina. Clock rolling. Chains move. We got 2 minutes, 40 seconds left on the clock. Auburn has all 3 timeouts. Auburn takes their first timeout right now. So you got to think right here, Shane Beamer. There's no reason to call another pass in this ball game. Keep that clock rolling. Even if you don't get any yards, keep that clock rolling. That's a good question. DJ Durkin, I would think wants to be a head coach at some point again. Go down. Keep that clock rolling. There we go. Auburn should take their second timeout right now. There you go. That sums it up right there, guys. Hey guys, we're just crossing the 9 o'clock hour. Let's do a quick reset here, and um, we'll continue the conversation here. Uh, don't go away. Okay, guys, welcome back in. We are here talking college football SEC edition here, week 12. Um, Kenneth here from the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network, battling a little bit of a cold here, but always a pleasure to be with the best fans in all of college football here, and can't thank each and every one of you enough for joining us. Want to be one of the first to wish you and your family a happy Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, whether it's by air or by your car, we pray that you get to your destination safely. Enjoy time with family, because there's nothing more important in life than being able to spend time with family. And looking forward to a great set of rivalry games next weekend. Do have a game of note going on right now in the SEC, as South Carolina, 3rd and 4, with about 2 minutes and 25 seconds left to go in the ball game, clinging to a 4-point lead here. Mason, that could be the case here. We'll see if they're able to get this first down and basically put the game away here. That's the ball game. Big combat catch, as my former coach loves to call it. Brown there looks like he hurt his hand, but that should be a first down. Da Vinci, I won't put that up on the screen, but I will say I'll take a look into that and see what. Oh no, he did not catch that ball, guys. South Carolina, big mistake there by Shane Beamer, as that guy did not catch the ball. Auburn's going to get the ball back. Mason, I thought it was a catch, but looking at the replay, that is not a catch. That call should be overturned. No, Mason, you had the same angle I did on the first look. It looked like it was a catch, but you could clearly see that he did not maintain possession. So unless this call stands, which it shouldn't, Auburn's going to get one more chance at it with about 2 minutes left to go. All right. Jet, to answer your question, Byron Leftwich of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers does not have any head coaching, or college coaching experience. Fantastic player there at Marshall, but does not have any college experience of any sort. So that's that question. I will say, and that's a great point, Kimpo. Here's what I will say. I don't agree with any of that, Da Vinci. I don't agree with any of that. And here's why. I don't care who Lane gets as a defensive coordinator. Lane Kiffin is not going to bring anybody to their knees when their name is Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, or Clemson. Um, Lane has never had a great defensive coordinator um, at Ole Miss, certainly not FAU. So, who is he going to go get? And from what I'm hearing, if Lane was to go to a school in Florida, it would be, oh God, no, no, no. There is no cutting off the Florida pipeline. No. The only coach that had any success in doing that was Howard Snellenberger when he first got to Miami. Uh, Lane Kiffin ain't that great of a recruiter. Lane Kiffin, at the moment, has not landed a top recruiting class. Oh, Spurrier and Mullen did not cut off the state of Florida. No. Yeah, Monty Kiffin, but Monty Kiffin, for that 1 year, I don't remember that Tennessee defense being what we're seeing from Georgia right now, what we saw from Alabama in a couple of their title runs. Um, that defense at Tennessee was good, but it wasn't anything special. Steve Spurrier, no, Steve Spurrier ain't cut off anything. Now, that's a key point, and that's why I said they needed to fire Dan Mullen right now. Hey, Cody, thanks for pointing that out. That's what I was thinking. I didn't think that defense under Monty Kiffin was anything special either. I mean, I thought it was solid, but I didn't think it was Alabama good or what we're seeing with Georgia good. South Carolina just recovered a muff punt. South Carolina is going to go on and win this ball game. This is huge. Um, if you had the under, oh, Da Vinci, I'm saying, and I want you to understand what I'm saying. They got half of the top 25 kids out of Florida. That's not cutting off the pipeline. The pipeline is not getting half of the top players in the state of Florida. It's getting the top five guys in the state of Florida. It's getting okay. Let's play this out. Amari Cooper doesn't go to Alabama. A Jerry Judy doesn't go to Alabama. Um, the guys that we're seeing go to Clemson. Um, Now, this is not to take anything away from Steve Spurrier, who I think is one of the four best head coaches to ever coach in the Southeastern Conference. And as far as Urban Meyer, a good point. This is what I'm talking about. A couple of games that they played well, but overall, I thought Monty did a good job, not a great job. Absolutely. Congratulations to the South Carolina fans, and congratulations to the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network. We had the Auburn under 7 wins. We are going to be celebrating as soon as this podcast is over, guys. I can promise you. Had the Kentucky win total of 7, that just went over. The Georgia win total of 10.5, that's gone over. Um, it has been a really good night for the Crunch Time Sports Advantage. I must say that. And guys, if you're not already following us on Twitter, you'll see that here popping up here in just a moment. Follow Mark Rogers TV, of course, the voice of CFB, the new Twitter handle for the show as well. Our show, Crunch Time VIP. Um, I'll let you guys know we're gearing up for college basketball. Um, Already starting to see some dividends lining up for some of the plays that we're going to be making here very shortly. So take a look at our packages. Definitely check out the website at crunchtimesportsadvantage.com, as well as our Twitter handle once again. And DaVinci, you're right. A lot of that Georgia defense comes from the state of Florida. It'd be nice to have a head coach that thought recruiting mattered. So to get back to Lane Kiffin, if Lane Kiffin leaves Ole Miss, it will be for the University of Miami, not the University of Florida. And I feel really comfortable making that statement. South Carolina going to a bowl game. Auburn under. Tear the goalpost down, baby. Tear the goalpost down. I don't know if I see Hugh Freeze ever getting back in the SEC. I think there's just a nasty taste about what happened with Ole Miss. Wow. This podcast is going to be very interesting this week, talking about the college football playoff and how that is shaping up here. Huge developments going on. Um, DaVinci, I will say, talking to a couple of sources in Miami, pardon me. Miami has already said money will not be will not be an issue. And there is nothing that the University of Florida can offer that Miami can't. the Gators will not pay more than what Miami will pay. Let me just say that. Miami wants to get back in the national championship picture. And if they believe Lane Kiffin can do that, they are ready to do whatever it takes to get him. I do not see that same situation with the University of Florida, given the fact that they have a lot of other things to deal with, as you guys have already talked about in the chat. If Miami goes and hires his former AD at FAU, guys, take that as a clear indication that Lane Kiffin will be going to Miami. Da Vinci, I will tell you, upgrading the facilities, yeah, that is an issue for Miami. But here's one thing that will not be an issue as far as what I'm understanding. What I'm understanding is Miami wants to be back as a national power. 2001 is a long time ago, and they are ready to do, quote unquote, whatever it takes. As far as some other issues, there are some prominent boosters that will not allow Lane Kiffin to be the head coach of the University of Florida. That is a very conservative group that would not want to see Lane Kiffin as the head coach at the University of Florida. I'm just saying, not all of them. I'm saying that there is quite a few boosters at the University of Florida that will not allow Lane Kiffin to ever be the head coach. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that's the majority or what's the percentage, but there's more than enough reporting on that. Cody, to answer your question, the SEC officiating has been horrible, and it's been that way all year. Yeah, Commissioner Sankey is going to definitely have to do something with that. Hey, Michael. Yeah, good point. This Gene Chizik conversation threw me for a loop because I was not I was not alerted that was even on the radar. So that'll be interesting. As far as the turnout, now you're right about the commute to Sun Life Stadium there, but if Lane Kiffin is the head coach, I guarantee you will see a lot of turnout there. Great point there about Gene Chizik. So it'll be interesting to see that. Going to be very interesting to see what dominoes fall here. Jet, that is a fantastic point. Sometime during the off season, I will be doing a deep breakdown of all the SEC teams. Um, Guys, if you would, please head over to our Twitter page once again and subscribe. Those podcasts will be coming out sometime in the spring, evaluating each team in the SEC, um, a look back at this past year, 2021, and a look ahead to 2022. Um, Cody, I'm glad you brought that up. Um, and I think the decisions Jet's talking about, and Jet, you tell me if I'm wrong here. It's not the decisions off the field; it's some of the coaching decisions on the field. Uh, yes, there is some early conversation. Yes, Jet, they do have the space for it. Um, Now you're talking about something that would take several years to get built, but that is something that's being discussed down in Miami. Kiffin knows the state of Florida, but here's the question: what kind of relationship does he have with the head coaches there in Florida? Now, I don't know the answer to that, so I won't try to pretend like I will give you an answer. I don't know what Lane Kiffin's reputation is with those high school head coaches there in the state of Florida. Da Vinci, to answer, if the city wanted to, there's more than enough ways um, to get that space and build a stadium if they really want it. So it's not completely off the table. Hey guys, well we got time here. Would love to get you guys' thoughts on next week's games because this is why we love college football. And Kimpo, new facilities at Florida, huge plus. It is and it isn't. Um, uh, you know what, Da Vinci, I will, like I said, it's something just to keep an eye on. I'm not saying you're wrong. Trust me. I I would definitely take your word for it because I've heard that expression quite a bit. But giving the amount of money that a football program like Miami can generate, remember the old Wu Tang song, "Cash rules everything around me." And if there's money to be made, those affluent people you're talking about in Coral Gables will be all over it. It's all about the almighty dollar. Okay, so on Thursday night, Thanksgiving night, 6 p.m., we have the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss taking on Mississippi State. You know what? Hey, welcome back in. Hey, um, Cody, based on what we've seen from Auburn, um, I do not see Auburn beating Alabama next week. But Missouri is playing Arkansas Friday. Um, that's the 2:30 CBS game. Is that right? Guys, give me just a second here. I want to make sure ESPN doesn't have that wrong. I don't like giving them a whole lot of credit, but let's see. Okay, so they do have that wrong. Okay, Alabama Auburn game is Saturday. So Louisville playing host to Kentucky. Georgia Tech, Florida State, LSU, Texas A&M, South Carolina, Clemson, and of course Georgia Tech. Now you're right about that. Are mostly not alums, Da Vinci, but what they are capitalists, and if they can make a buck, uh, they don't care if it's the University of Miami or whatever program. It's all about can they make money off of that stadium being there, whether it's through selling land or um, or having one of their business tied to it. Cody, you're right. It is Jordan Hare. Anything can happen. Um, I just can't see Brian Harsin beating Nick Saban with a backup quarterback. But you're right. That is a rivalry where, especially when that game is in Auburn, crazy things do happen. So that's going to be an interesting game to see. Um, as far as my Gator fans that are listening, what are your thoughts on Florida State, Florida next week? Does Florida have any chance of winning that ball game? Mm. And think about it this way: the winner of that ball game goes to a bowl game. That's how far this game has fallen off. And I think Jet mentioned this earlier. If that game is played now, Tennessee beats Florida by 10 points. Excellent point there, Da Vinci. Like I said, I don't doubt anything that you've put in the chat whatsoever. That's just something that's floating out there. Uh, a much different Florida team, and honestly, a much improved um, Tennessee team right now. And you know, this is hard for Florida fans to even say. So that tells you just how down they are right now. Kimball, I'll tell you this: from what I saw from Anthony Richardson, he don't make that big of a difference. As far as a passing quarterback, he's not much better than Anthony Emory Jones. I mean, he's good for a highlight. I don't think that kid could hit a wide receiver for nothing in the world. Ooh. Now we're talking SEC championship game. Georgia will beat Alabama by a half. Well, the last two times they've been beating Alabama at the half. Lost both games, by the way. So this Georgia defensive line, this Georgia defensive front seven, best in the country. I am not scared of that Georgia defensive backfield if I'm Alabama, if I'm Ohio State, if I am whoever Georgia would see in the college football playoffs. That secondary does not have a dude, a playmaker in that secondary. Now, the flip side is you got to have an offensive line that can give you time. And we've seen that, Da Vinci, where if Georgia's not getting a block punt or a turnover, this team struggles to put up points against good teams. So, excuse me, something to keep in mind. And Jet, you've been saying that for the past few weeks. So, if it's with cost or without, you're looking at $6 million in the first 30 days. If Florida wanted to, they could have that money by tomorrow morning. Da Vinci, you tell me if I'm wrong on that. But if Florida really wanted $6 million, they could give it to them tomorrow morning before we got out of bed. The last time Georgia beat Alabama, Matthew Stafford came to Tuscaloosa. I want to say that year was 2000 and 2007, but let me look that up real quick. That's right. 2007, Matthew Stafford game-winning drive against Alabama in Tuscaloosa was the last time that Georgia beat Alabama. That's right. Tebow did win the Heisman. Um, and of course, we know what happened when Alabama went back to Georgia the next year. Georgia wears the black jerseys and gets their brains beat in. An excellent point there, pointing out, and you guys, Da Vinci, Jet, you guys have been all over the Mullen contract and all of the breakdown there. So um, there's nothing for me that I need to add on to that. And you best believe Jimmy Sexton is already working the phones right now. So some of the games I'm looking forward to next weekend as far as the rivalry game. And I'll be doing a special SEC podcast on all the rivalry games. So um, no doubt about it, Da Vinci. Sexton's is undefeated, man. Um, really looking forward to the Egg Bowl. Winner of that game will finish second in the SEC West. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That game is in Start Vegas. Um, the Iron Bowl, just because, like Cody said, crazy things happen on that when when that game's played in Auburn. Louisville, Kentucky. Gonna be watching that game very closely. And of course, the Ed Orgeron goodbye game, as Ed Orgeron will be coaching his last game in Tiger Stadium as the head coach of LSU, as they welcome in Jimbo Fisher in Texas A&M. So those are the three games that I will be watching and paying very close attention to. And Jet, I will just say this: the comments you just put in the chat there, not the first Florida fan that I've heard say that. Cody, to answer your question, Tennessee cannot finish second. Um, they lost their head-to-head to Kentucky. Give me just a second. Let me pull up the standings here, and I will tell you what the best case scenario is there. So even well, because Kentucky has played their last conference game, that game against Louisville is non-conference. The best Tennessee can do is third. So you're absolutely right. So and let's run down the standings real quick, as everything pretty much is just about wrapped up. Georgia, we know, has already booked their trip to Atlanta, going 8-0 in the conference. I'm going to get to that score here really, really quickly. Kentucky 5-3. Wins over Florida, Tennessee will have them in the number 2 slot. Tennessee and Missouri will either finish 3-4. South Carolina will finish in the 5th spot. Man, the Gators 2-6 in conference. Wow. We'll finish 7th. Just to let you guys know, man, we had them preseason. We had the Gators finishing third in the East, and Vanderbilt's going to finish last in the conference. Over on the west side of the conference, Alabama going to Atlanta, regardless of what happens next week against Auburn. Ole Miss, Mississippi State will either finish 2nd or 3rd, depending on those results. A&M, even in a year that they knock off Alabama, will finish no better than 4th. Auburn will either finish 5th or 6th, depending on what happens with the Arkansas game. And LSU will finish dead last in the West. Goodbye, Ed Orgeron. Jet, you just posted it, so I'm hopping back into the portal here. Vandy was not able to get that score. 17, Ole Miss 31, 3 minutes left to go. Yeah, Cody, you're right. Tennessee did get the win head-to-head, but because of a couple other losses in the conference, Johnny, if you didn't have that last word up there, I could post that on the screen, but cannot post that. But I think everybody sees what you put in the chat. So, like I said, it's there. I just cannot put that on the screen. Guys, got you here for another 13 minutes. So anything that you guys want to talk about, the chat's wide open. Want to thank each and every one of you once again for tuning in. Johnny Lester, I think maybe your first time tuning in or at least posting in the chat. Cody, definitely glad to have you on as well. It has absolutely been a great year for Kentucky. Guys, I will let you know. Hearing a lot of talk and chatter about Mark Stoops. That's a name I'm hearing quite a bit about, the next head coach at LSU. If I was the Florida Gators, I would try to go get Mark Stoops right now. Has coaching experience in the conference, has coaching experience in the division, was at Florida State, so as a defensive coordinator. So that would be interesting. Now, hey, Johnny, I can't put this one up, so I absolutely will. Now, Johnny, let me know which team you're a fan of, because I can't tell right offhand, so would love to know that information. Mark Stoops is very well respected, and there was talk if some dominoes fell, he would go to Penn State. But if I'm LSU, if I'm Florida, oh, thank you, Johnny. Bulldog fan, I got you, man. Um, Cody, uh, uh, you know, Cody, I'll say this: he didn't blow that game against Tennessee. Uh, that was just a bad matchup. Um, and this Kentucky team is going to be good next year. Um, man, if Will Levis isn't turning the ball over, um, Kentucky is going to be a team that you don't want to play next year. Johnny, since I got you in the chat, um, let's talk your quarterback, Stetson Bennett. I think Georgia can win the national championship with Stetson Bennett. I don't know if they can win it with JT Daniels. Your thoughts? And Cody, that was out of necessity. So if you remember, Wilson blew out his knee, and Bowden, the running back for Kentucky, basically had to play Wildcat quarterback. So yeah. Da Vinci, I would say, man, if I could get Mark Stoops, I would do it in a heartbeat. One, he's not going to embarrass the program. You can say that about Mark Stoops. He is not going to embarrass the program. I think he's a really good recruiter, and I think being at Florida, um, he's got a lot of relationships that he built while he was there at Florida State. Um, that could be a good thing. Um, if you can't get Stoops, I would go after Dave Aranda, head coach at Baylor. Um, you guys will know him being the defensive coordinator for LSU when they won the national championship. Dave Aranda can flat out coach, man. Can flat out coach. So those would be the two names that I would go get. Hey Johnny, and I brought this up for a reason. Do you know that JT Daniels has never played in a big time game at the University of Georgia where the offense looked really good? The only game that he's been a starting quarterback against a top caliber team was against Clemson week 1. Georgia put up 3 points. So JT Daniels is not this explosive, dynamic passer against top caliber defenses. I went back and looked at that Clemson game. JT Daniels did not look the part of a quarterback. Here's what Stetson Bennett gives you that JT Daniels don't. Stetson Bennett, if the play breaks down, can give you 8 or 9 yards with his legs. JT Daniels ain't out running a one-legged dog. He's going to sit in that pocket, and if you're able to get pressure on JT Daniels, he'll turn the ball over. And you don't just need a high-octane recruiter. You need somebody with a core identity. What is Stoops going to bring you? A physical offensive line and defensive line. Guess what? If you want to get back to the SEC championship game, you got to go through Georgia. What does Georgia have right now? The best defensive line in college football. Mark Stoops, he's got the best O-line in the SEC right now. 2 years running. So you need that kind of offensive line to match up with that D-line there at Georgia. I would go after Mark Stoops, and I would say open checkbook. You know what? Bennett's played in more big time games than JT Daniels. And I'm not saying you're wrong, Johnny. I'm just saying that's the only big time game since he's been at the University of Georgia that he played in. And he didn't look good in that game. If it took $8.5 million to get Mark Stoops, go write the check. Because I think he can go head to head with Kirby. And that's what you really need. You need a coach that will go head to head with Kirby on the recruiting trail. Saban makes a little bit more than that, but I get your point. Um, I'm not paying Lane Kiffin $9 million. No. I'm not paying Hugh Freeze $9 million. No. Johnny, those two pups at the quarterback spot are not ready for prime time. Hey, Clinic. Hey, good to have you back in as well. Want to wish, like I said, guys, before I get out of here, once again, want to wish you and your families a happy Thanksgiving. If you're traveling, do be safe. And if you're not traveling or not spending it with family, um, definitely pick up the phone and call family for sure. Ooh, I have not heard that. So, Cody, I'm not gonna give Josh Heupel that kind of credit. Josh Heupel ain't that good of a head coach. We need to see him prove it. And Josh Heupel has not really done anything as a recruiter. Got to see that. And Da Vinci, you're right. You are competing against LSU and now he's done a great job with that, no doubt about it. But here's the issue that he's going to run into, Cody. Um, all of these SEC coaches, they got 12 games of tape on him right now, and it's going to be imperative that Josh Heupel evolves as a head coach. Um, and improves that scheme. Hey guys, let me give you the rundown real quick before we get out of here. SEC games on this Week 12 slate. Only okay, so this Ole Miss Vandy game is about to wrap up. We got about a minute left to go. Uh, Vandy 17, Ole Miss 31. Tennessee 60, South Alabama 14. 3 minutes left to go. Just coming out of the half, LSU 17, Louisiana Monroe 7, Georgia 56-7 over Charleston Southern. Alabama holds on to get a win there in Tuscaloosa, 42-35. Bryce Young sets a school record with 559 yards passing. A&M beats Prairie View A&M 52-3. Mississippi State 55, Tennessee State 10. Kentucky 56, New Mexico State 16. Missouri in overtime beating Florida 24-23. University of Florida will need a win over their in-state rival, Florida State, to make it to a bowl game. We'll see if any news breaks this week about Dan Mullen's coaching career there in Gainesville. And finally, South Carolina 21, Auburn 17. South Carolina going bowling this year. Great job there by Shane Beamer. Brian Hartson, if he's going to get the 7 wins this year, going to have to beat Alabama. Huge night for the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network as we are cashing in some season win totals. Georgia going over their win total of 10.5. Thank you, Kirby. Kentucky going over their win total of 7. Thank you, Mark Stoops. Florida, we've already cashed that one. Florida staying under their win total of 9. That game, that was in the bag a month ago. Auburn win total of 6.5. That will stay under as Auburn will likely not win next week over Auburn. So great job by my team over at the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network. Jet, Da Vinci, Johnny, Cody, happy Thanksgiving, everybody here from Mark Rogers TV and the Crunch Time Sports Advantage Network. Guys, enjoy your holiday week. Do be safe and hope to see you next week as we cover rivalry weekend here on Talking College Football SEC. Take care, everybody. God bless.